Hey everyone. So if you're a developer who knows your way around a database, but you're starting to hit the wall with big data, then you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to demystify Apache Spark, a tool that sounds intimidating, but as you'll see, is surprisingly friendly. We're going to show you how to get it running right on your own laptop. Let's get into it.
Let's kick things off with a feeling I bet you know all too well. You've got this huge data set, maybe it's gigabytes of log files, and you just want to poke around and explore. But every time you run a simple select query, you're just staring at a spinning wheel, waiting. That awesome interactive flow you have with your SQL client, it just vanishes. Sound familiar?
Well, this is where Spark comes in. Now, you've probably heard about Spark in the context of these massive 1,000-computer clusters. And yeah, it does that. But the real magic, especially for getting started, is that it's built to be fast even on your one single laptop. So for this explainer, let's just completely forget the word cluster exists and focus on how you can use this thing as a superpowered analysis tool right now. Okay, I can practically hear you thinking it. Big data tools mean big headaches. Complicated setups, endless configuration files. It's a nightmare before you can even write one line of code. And you know what? That's a totally fair concern. But what if I told you that getting Spark running locally is almost laughably simple? I'm not kidding. This is literally the entire process. You go to the website, you download a file, you unpack it, and that's it. You're done. There's no installer, no system services to configure, none of that. Spark's local mode is completely self-contained right inside that folder. You are officially ready to go. So, the folder is sitting on your hard drive. Now what? Well, the absolute best way to start exploring your data and to really get a feel for Spark is by using its interactive shells. Let's take a look at what those are. Spark basically gives you two main doors to walk through. If you're a Python developer, you'll use PySpark. If you come from the Java or Scala world, you'll want Spark Shell. The best way to think about these is like your favorite SQL command line tool, but on steroids. You type a command, you get a result back, and you build up your analysis one step at a time. For our examples, we're going to stick with the Python shell.
The moment you launch one of these shells, Spark does something really helpful for you in the background. It automatically creates something called a Spark context and conveniently puts it in a variable named SC. Just think of this SC variable as your main connection, your direct line to the powerful Spark engine. It's the starting point for pretty much everything we're about to do.
All right, we're in. We've got a blinking cursor on the screen, and our SC variable is ready and waiting. Enough setup, let's actually do something with some data.
Let's start with something super simple. We're just going to load the README file that actually comes with Spark. We use our SC variable and call the text file method. Now here's the really interesting part. This command finishes instantly. But why? Because Spark hasn't actually read the file yet. It's just created a plan, a pointer to that file, which is a core concept called an RDD.
So RDD stands for Resilient Distributed Data Set. I know, that's a mouthful. But coming from a database world, there's a really easy way to think about it. Just imagine it's a giant read-only table. It's a reference to all of your data that Spark now knows how to break apart and process in parallel. And even though we're just on our laptop, the code we write against this table is the exact same code that would work across 1,000 machines.
Okay, so we have our lines RDD, our big table. Let's do something to it. Let's find all the lines that contain the word Python. This filter function, it's basically just a where clause from SQL. We're telling Spark we want to define a new RDD that only has the lines that match our rule. And guess what? This command is also instant. We still haven't actually done any work. We're just adding another step to our plan.
This brings us to the single most important idea in Spark, lazy evaluation. The best way to think about it is like you're writing down a recipe. Transformations, like our filter, are just the steps in the recipe. Chop the onions, get the garlic. You're just building the plan, nothing has been cooked yet. An action, on the other hand, like first or count, is you finally saying, okay, let's cook. That's the command that tells Spark to look at your whole recipe, figure out the best way to do it, and then finally execute the work. It's the secret to Spark's speed. So, we need an action to actually make something happen. Let's use first. This action tells Spark, hey, go through that recipe you have and just give me the very first thing you find that matches. The second we hit enter on this command, the Spark engine roars to life. It opens the README file, it reads each line, it applies our Python filter, and the very instant it finds a match, it stops and sends it back to us. It doesn't even bother reading the rest of the file. And boom, there it is.
Right on our screen, we get the result, the first line in that file that contains the word Python. This right here is the aha moment. In just 3 quick interactive steps, we went from a plain text file to a specific query result. That's the power of this whole approach.
So what we just did shows you exactly why this is so cool for ad hoc analysis. You can test your logic one piece at a time and see what happens immediately. You're basically building a data processing pipeline on the fly. And just remember, even though we're on one little laptop, Spark is still using its parallel processing engine under the hood. The code you're writing is already built to scale.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. The amount of data we're all dealing with is only going in one direction, up. And being able to quickly, interactively explore that data isn't a luxury anymore. It's becoming a basic necessity. And as we just saw, with a simple download and a few commands, Spark puts that power right on your machine. And that's our quick look at getting started with Spark. If you're ready to stop waiting on queries and start exploring, go ahead and hit that like button, share this with a coworker who you know is stuck staring at that spinning wheel, and of course, subscribe for more explainers on powerful developer tools. Thanks for watching.